So, Tony Hawk Skater, Pro Skater 3 and 4, you've remade it from the ground up. What changes did you have to do to make the remaster work in modern setting?
Well, I think the first thing was like figuring out what already worked, like what was good, so like the big thing we talk about internally is like the feel of the game. So the Tony feel, like that's solid, and that combined with the collision that's been established there, like that makes a really nice piece. So then from there it's like, okay, what do we add on to that solid foundation? So it's like, what are the visuals that bring it into like the modern expectation? What are the little tweaks we can make to like different lines or options for the player to traverse a level, that maybe there's like in a level it might benefit from like an additional rail or additional option here, or with the inclusion of skitching, we also had to think about like how can skitching be benefited in the 3 levels that never had that option in there.
So what are some additions that you actually make? Can you be specific?
Yeah, so one of the ones, it's a level that we haven't talked about yet, but I know there was a predominant, we added a bunch of more railings, handrails to traverse, and some additional transporting, transport areas to be able to navigate the different levels, the different heights of the level more easily. And so that was a big one. Another one in Suburbia, like that you saw today, was like we obviously, like I said, skitching didn't exist before, but there was a car there before. So we definitely had to think about like, okay, if the player can skitch off of this, how does the path that the car currently have, how does that give the player additional options for lines and combos on there? So looking at like, okay, if this is the path the car's taking, what options do they have if they release at certain places? And so like that's another addition that we've added.
That's pretty cool. And then of course with Tony Hawk, the soundtrack is iconic.
Yeah.
Did you get all the licensing sorted out for all the music?
I mean, I didn't. That's
personally went to all the bands.
I would not trust me with that. That is not my role. But
the lawyers did.
Yes, yeah. The lawyers, the Activision professionals, audio professionals took care of that. And so our part was more like coming up with like our recommendations for what we thought were like good additions, or like what are the must-haves off the originals that we need to like prioritize searching out. So
do you know if any didn't make the cut, and then what additions were added?
Sorry, like didn't make the cut from the original, or
did all the original songs make it in?
No, not all original. Yeah. So I think we got the best we could with that, and I think we've captured a really nice sneaky, because there's a lot of songs in the original, like especially in the 3 and 4, more than I think in any of the others on there. So I think we did it. I think we nailed the feel of like what those are, and then adding the new stuff. It's like, okay, what's the current, like skate culture has changed a lot since then, and so like what is representative of current music in skate culture, and so expanding those songs to be added in.
One of the things you've done to sort of make this remaster, is it a remake or a remaster?
So we've been, I feel like everybody has a slight difference on this, but like we've been using the term remake, and so we internally though have been like viewing it as like, this is the ultimate package of like, this is the ultimate homage to what 3 and 4 were, and like, because there's things in there that like weren't present, like I said, talked about sketching in 3 and things like that. And so that's how we kind of view it, as like, this is the peak of Tony Hawk.
They mentioned something during the presentation. Doom Guy is going to be a playable character?
Yeah. He's part of the Digital Deluxe Edition. So if you purchase that, you'll get access to Doomslayer and Revenant as playable skaters.
That's cool. Any other surprises in terms of playable characters?
Yes.
Oh, like what? Are they unlockable? Like, how are we going to find out?
There's a variation of things they're going to do, but they'll become, I think there's some plans coming up to reveal some more really exciting stuff. We're really excited and happy they got into the game. So.
All right, great. Did all the original skaters make the cut?
Yes.
They did, including Bam.
I mean, when are you doing? Like, are you posting
I'll
this?
air it after I'm allowed to. How about
Yeah.
that?
So we're really excited to get all the original skaters back, plus BAM as an addition to that, and so definitely, wanted to look at like what is skate culture, who's representative of it, who are those names, and of course, yeah, BAM's on that list.
How did he feel when you called him up?
I don't have his number, so
I figured.
I believe he was excited.
Yeah.
But I'm probably fourth, removed from actually calling him. So
That's fair. That's fair. And when does it release again?
July 11th.
July 11th. Got it. Was there something particularly tricky to just get this off the ground or make it happen? Because you already did Tony Hawk 1 and 2. Was there anything most difficult with 3 and 4?
I mean, I think the most difficult thing was just meeting the expectations of this game that everyone had, like players, fans, whatever, however they identify in the game. Like, it's a high bar. Like, I don't think I'm, I don't think I'm characterizing it incorrectly when I say like this is a pretty iconic, franchise, and like especially 1 and 2 like really set a high quality bar and expectations for it, and kind of defined like what a remake like this should be. And so that was, I think, the hardest thing of all was like making sure we were hitting that. But it was also exciting to get a chance to work on that and constantly like look back and be like, okay, is this hitting what we want? Especially with like the new parks we've added, like regularly asking ourselves, like, does this fit within the series? Does this feel like it was always here, kind of thing?
Yeah, we got Water Park.
Yes.
Was one that we got to play today, right? Can you tell me a little bit more about why you chose a water park and what design elements you added and how you make it stand out from the old school maps?
Yeah, so we actually didn't want it to stand out too much from the old school maps. One of the directives that I gave the level design team was this should feel like it was left on the cutting room floor. Like Activision handed us a hard drive, said, hey, this has got some 4 stuff on it, take a look at it, and we found it. Like that was like, we wanted it to always feel like it could have been there. And so that was, kind of a mantra that we always pushed with Water Park and looking on that. And so then from there, like that as a foundation, we just kind of like, okay, what could we add to this? Like what is something, that maybe they couldn't have done that in the original that we could add into that. And so like size is a big thing. Like Water Park's probably one of if not the biggest level in the game. And so there's a lot of little like details here and there adding in and making it feel like this was once a very like popular water park, that something happened.
Besides Water Park, what are some of the additions that you worked on that you're really proud of?
As far as parks go, we're not talking about any more of the new parks yet. But I think some of the other additions would have to be, I'm a big user experience designer, and so we added a lot of like some additional mods in there. So like being able to customize the 2-minute timer to be longer, that was a big add in there. Plus some other little like fun little tweaks to being able to customize some things that we haven't shown quite yet, that are just gonna, just makes it more, I feel like, fits within the kind of, arcadey funniness of Tony Hawk's as a franchise.
I see you have some multiplayer components in the game. Can you tell me a little bit more about how that works?
We're not talking about any details in the multiplayer, but it's there. There's online, there's cross-play with other among platforms, including the Create a Park. Parks will be available, like you'll be able to access parks created on other platforms. But that's all I'm talking about today.
Okay, so what about leaderboards? Are you going to do leaderboards or anything in that respect?
I think it's fair to say on that regards is like if it was in 1 and 2, it's going to be in 3 and 4.
Okay, got it. Now earlier though, I asked you about something that you worked on that you were like, man, I'm really proud I got that in there. Was there any example you could give?
Trying to think. And there's so much in there that I really like.
Do you
I mean-
remember a late night working on like a skateboard design or something?
So I don't. So I didn't personally. I guess it depends on how you frame this. But so I broke my arm a year ago
Oh, really?
skateboarding. Yeah.
Jeez.
And the X-rays of my arm are in the game.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
That's really cool.
So I'm like, I just gave the X-ray images to one of our artists, and he
Yeah.
did something really cool with it. So I didn't actually physically do that, but I guess you could say like a piece of me's in the game. So
No, literally.
yeah, literally. So yeah.
That's cool. That's really, really neat.
Yeah.
In addition to that, like, there's a lot of remakes and remasters coming out in 2025. Do you feel like it's a strong year for that genre, I guess we'll call it?
I mean, yeah, I guess it's I think there's always a desire for folks to want to see what stuff that they loved from the past, like what it looks like in the current, from the current lens and how to do it. So I think there's always going to be desire for that sort of stuff.
Yeah. One of the new additions you talked about, Skitching.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, are there any other things, and how does Skitching work for people who are going to be playing it in June?
Yeah, so Skitching is, for those unfamiliar, it's the act of grabbing onto a vehicle or some other sort of self-propelled object that pulls you along there. So you can basically, there's vehicles driving around in some of the in quite a few levels, and you can get up behind them, grab onto them, and kind of you can move from one side to the other. You can. And we treat it very similar to like a manual or a grind, where you kind of have to balance your meter, and then when you let go, you get a little bit of a speed boost, and you can continue your combo. And so you can combo into a sketch, or you can combo out of a sketch and continue your line. And so I think I was even seeing some very creative ways of people like regaining their momentum through that. And so that was really cool to see people getting creative with how they're making their different combos.
I had somebody capture some gameplay for me, and they were just doing these insane combos that I didn't even know were possible.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, you're pretty good at this game.
Yep.
What's the biggest combo you've ever seen somebody land?
Seen somebody land?
Yes, land.
Probably 10 million, and it was somebody today.
They landed it for my footage, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But I did hear someone say there was a 42 million combo, which
Oh my goodness.
like. It's like, wow, cool. I will believe you. Like, I'm glad it works.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can test that myself, but yeah.
That's pretty funny. Let me see here. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, level flow. You mentioned adding new things, so probably just my last question here. Like new rails and such. Can you give me an example of a new addition or tweak that you made to one of those OG maps?
I'm trying to think of the ones, a lot of the ones that I'm thinking about we haven't shown yet. I'm trying to think of an example.
College, LA.
The statue in college.
Oh yeah, I do love the statue in college. Like it makes it look like there's, why did you put this piece of something in the middle of this open space that you should be able to use for it? But actually, it's one of the destructible items in the world, and so you can just like run right through it and get. I think it gives you I think there's a point bonus for doing that, and so yeah, those are things where it's like, hey, this makes the world look and feel more realistic, because like if you were if this was an actual like open space like at a college, they would have something here going on. And so us being able to be creative with that and be like, okay, we'll put something here, but like we're not going to ruin the fact that like players like this open space here, and so that it doesn't interrupt things they're trying to do. And so if anything, it makes it a little more interesting in that respect.
And in LA, was the earthquake always in the map like that?
No, that one was one we definitely had to tweak and kind of modernize it.
What happened in the original and what did you change?
So I think the original, it's been a little while since I looked it up, but I think there was a police chase. And so we just didn't feel like that was, we just weren't fans of that choice. And so we decided to change it a little bit more into there's an autonomous car involved and then an earthquake and so we felt that was a better like modern version of it.
What was the original police chase? Like what was the issue?
I think I'm trying to remember. I think they were shooting in it and we didn't feel like that was a good representation of for what we wanted the game to tell.
Okay, get it. Yeah, random shooting downtown
Yes,
LA.
yeah.
I get it. All right.
Yeah.
You said it comes out in June.
Yes. No, July 11th.
July 11th.
Yes.
July 11th. How are you feeling? Are you excited?
I am so excited. Like I have been wanting to show people this game for I don't know how long, because I think this is like literally everyone we talk to internally, I always mention, like when we talked to Bethesda and presented the idea of bringing Doomslayer into this, like they were so excited. And it's like literally everybody we talk to about this, that we get a chance to talk to is just so excited and ecstatic. And so like, I'm excited to finally be able to start talking about it to a larger audience because it's so iconic of a franchise, and like especially for me personally, I love these games, and so I'm pretty stoked.
Got it. I'd love to know your personal opinion. Who is the better skater, Tony Hawk or Doomslayer from Doom?
I mean, Tony Hawk, he's the GOAT.
So Doomslayer has his match made for him.
I mean, he's better at other things.
Yeah, okay. Got it.
I mean, I don't want to tell him how to do his job, but like maybe stay in your lane. But he's a great addition to the roster, and he's definitely got I love his special grinds with the chainsaw.
Cool. I'm excited to try him out.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for taking the time to chat
Yeah, for
with me.
sure.